Last week we talked about white balance and using auto white balance most of the time, which is what I recommend you do. And we also touched on using daylight white balance, and if you remember, daylight white balance is balanced for the middle of the day, so if you're shooting sunsets and things, it is ideal to bring out colour like in this shot. So moving on to other settings, we have the cloudy white balance, which is slightly warmer. It's slightly more yellow than daylight, and it's represented by the symbol in the bottom left-hand corner, or something similar to that depending on the brand. This is the shady setting if you look at the symbol, and it was used here because even though it was a bright sunny morning, this worker was under a plastic cover with throwing a really blue cast. Now, inside a factory, illuminated by fluorescent lighting, and of course you can see the symbol for fluorescent lighting. This one is very difficult to use because the colour of fluoro tubes is different. You've got cool white, warm white, and then in the older tubes you tended to get a pinkish cast coming through or a more green cast than normal coming through. So auto white sometimes works better under fluoro. Two types of lighting here, the heavy overcast giving the bluish sort of tones in the foreground, and then the warmer or more yellow light coming from the tungsten or incandescent lighting in the windows and interior of the shop in the background. And while we're talking of tungsten or incandescent lighting, that's the symbol for it down in the left-hand corner. This is our friend Paul Costa performing at a country music event. The lighting is very typical. I've left it a little bit warm here, so I've actually warmed it up a little bit again, but it's very contrasty, and that's typical of that sort of thing. And for the final setup, this was shot using electronic flash. The flash symbol is the lightning bolt that you can see in the bottom left-hand corner. That would be the way to go normally for this. The flash white balance is slightly warmer than sunny or daylight white balance generally. However, on this occasion, we used the custom white balance, which is the one you can see there now. And what we did is whack the plate in, made a custom white balance, and you'll need to check your manual to find out how to do that because every camera is different, so that when the food arrived, we could just slip the food in and make the exposure. It was all about speed in this case because the food was coming fresh from the kitchen. There was 200 people around, gathered around. We had no time to play around. It was just we had to get it right instantly. That's it for this one, folks. We'll catch you next week.